I'm Radio Award and welcome to my review for RoboCop, the brand new remake that has just been released this week. I got my chance to go and see it earlier today. I have my ticket here. There we go, awesome stuff. Now what can I say about the remake of RoboCop? Being the fact it's trying to redo something that was an absolute classic in itself. Of course, the original RoboCop, fantastic director, fantastic actor, one of the best 80s movies, and it still holds up really well in terms of just the themes and just the awesomeness of the actual character of RoboCop. How can you translate that into a modern day movie? How can you recapture what was good about it and, not piss off the fans and at the same time introduce new audience to the franchise of RoboCop? Well, I think they did a pretty decent job in pulling this one off. Let's talk about RoboCop, the remake.
No! God, please, no! No!
The thing that intrigued me automatically about this movie is the fact he's directed by a foreign director. This is his first American debut, and taking a foreign director and giving him a remake to do of a classic American movie in a way. That's interesting in terms of an approach, in terms of a style, and I think foreign directors doing American movies can be really good, or can be actually disastrous, or there can be disagreements with studios or interference like that. Hitman is Xavier Jin, ultimate example of studio interference, messing with the creator's vision, and I think he's managed to get his take upon RoboCop as a modern day feature. And even though there's a number of problems happened, during the making of this movie, during post-production and production, obviously with the whole, I think rewrites, costume changes, design, stuff like that. They had a bit of technical problems, and it was a bit shaky start. And it's kind of thinking to yourself, what's going on here? Is this gonna pay off in a sense? And despite it's a 2 hour and a half movie. This of course with cinema time, extra stuff like that. It's pretty well done. I have to say, it's pretty decent, and I was genuinely quite surprised. I went in with a low expectation. Hardcore fan loved the original so much. Watching the Blu-ray just made me love it even more. And I was kind of thinking to myself, I'll go in, have a bit of a laugh. It's bad. I'll laugh about it, to the piss out of it. It's fine, whatever. The trailer I felt was pretty good. I did like the trailer. I did a review for the trailer. I did like it, but as I kept watching it and keep hearing new stuff, like the terrible dubstep remix of the actual theme of RoboCop is awful.
Your move, creep.
You see more stuff in pictures, and you just see him in that black suit, and it's kind of like, I'm not feeling this. I'm not feeling the character as RoboCop. And then the moment I went into the cinema, watched it, and I gotta say it is decent, and I can't just say slag it off, do this and that, because it's the problem is with a movie like this. It's a decent sci-fi fiction film itself. It does its own themes. It sticks well to what it does in terms of as a theme of the holiday of the military, androids, robots. This is kind of a common theme, I think, even today. It's the idea of justice and stuff like that, and taking military across seas and protecting other countries' assets, stuff like that. So it's interesting ideas, and cyborgs and technology will always increase and always grow and always expand. But because it's got the name of RoboCop on the title, and you're seeing RoboCop in the movie, you're instantly going to think, it happened with Total Recall. It happened with so many other movies in terms of a remake. And it's shaky territory, it very is. Like I said, it's trying to appeal to the original fans, at the same time introduce a new fandom into it. The film's a PG-13. It's, I think in places it is violent. There is a bit of blood in places and all that, but it's all powder hits, stuff like that. When people get shot, it's all impacts and smoke kind of thing like that. So again, people want to see the violence. People want to see the swearing. People just remember how much the original did so many things right, and they want to again relive that in this one. And I think it's unfair to say this remake to copy everything that the original, because if the remake did, it wouldn't have an identity. It would just be basically rehashing what the first one did with a bit more budget, a bit more special effects. What's the point in that? I want a remake to do something different. I want a remake to maybe touch upon things that weren't in the first one, do things that they couldn't do back in the first one, and this movie does exactly that. There's a couple of sequences and a couple of ideas that were played around. I think the Ed 209 was much better appropriately used in this one. I felt the whole sequence, we see in the trailer with RoboCop facing them, that wasn't really anything special. It was not too bad in a sense, but nothing really memorable. The way he kind of solves his own crime in this one, I think that's interesting by itself. They touch upon the things about the illusion of control and the idea of people will not buy a fact of a robot trying to save them, protect them, or pointing the gun at a criminal, but because a robot doesn't feel emotions, but a man in a suit can. And at the same time, the companies want to control him and give him the illusion of free will. And I like how they touch upon that in the actual movie, and there's some pretty there's some scenes that do stick with you. I mean, one thing I'm going to say instantly is the actual suit, the actual grey suit redesign is freaking badass. I love it. The new design, I don't care what anyone says, it is really good. If you don't think so, I mean, the original design was fantastic in the original movie, but this one looks freaking awesome. It looks like a proper good suit, like a very hard and moving is good, the sounds are good to it, and I really like it. The visor was awesome, nice and crisp and grey, and it looks badass, it looks really, really cool. Of course, they get rid of it and they get the black suit, which kind of grows on you a little bit. It's kind of like, it's not as good, but it is not too bad. I mean, it does grow in terms of the movie. It is a practical suit. At the end of the day, he's changing suits for different environments. Obviously, that was more of a combat suit, more of an urban one in terms of going to places, taking out criminal stuff like that. And now the acting in this movie, I think, is pretty standard. You get Gary Oldman. He's better than I thought he was going to be. Gary Oldman's Gary Oldman at the end of the day. He's always a good British character we're rooting for in a way, and of course he's the scientist that designs the life support, stuff like that. And I will say there is a very weird, obscene. If you're one of those people who think, it's PG-13, nothing's gonna happen here, nothing weird, whatever. There's a scene in this movie that sticks in the mind, I tell you, and I'm not gonna say what it is. I'm not gonna ruin anything. Go and watch it. You know exactly what I'm mentioning the moment you see that scene, and it will stick with you. And then tell me it's nothing but a PG-13 movie, because that scene sticks in your mind for sure. That's what I'm going to say. But in terms of acting, Gary was really good. I really liked his role in the movie. The actual actor who plays Alex Murphy, he's from The Killing, the TV show. When he was human in the first kind of opening sections, I didn't care at all. I think the scenes between him and his wife and the kid, very flat and bland. I mean, the way he kind of presents some of his lines and says some of his lines, I don't feel it. Where the original, when he said his line, you really felt aggression or emotion or sadness, stuff like that. This one, not as much. Once he's in the suit and he's looking fucking badass and doing what he does, the emotion scenes do crank up a lot more, and I think his acting gets better, and especially when going after some of the criminals that obviously try to kill him in a sense with blowing up his car. The actor is not as strong as, of course, Peter Weller is in the first one. So, but he's not too bad. I mean, I think he will improve. I think if there's a possible sequel, he will, chance to grow. It's been fact this is one of his first movies, feature movies. He's done not too bad. I mean, it's just considering this movie has so many problems, it could have been so much worse. And I think he was good. I just think there should have been someone stronger, like Carl Urban, like we were discussing, me and my friend were discussing earlier today. Being the fact he's just got nothing but the actual mouth, I think they should have an actor that can actually show aggression, show emotion just by his mouth and the grins and stuff like that, and the way he moves his body, things like that. I think he did a pretty decent job, but did nowhere near as good as performance as the original, of course. You got Michael Keaton in this movie also, which is the head of OCP. Just to see Malcolm back in the screen, gifted actor, I really like him. I think he was pretty good as a nice little corporate bad guy in a sense, He's not a typical, the bad guys, 80s bad guys in terms of the first one, but he's more he's a modern day American. He believes in these androids. He wants to pass law in a sense. He wants to do this, wants to do that, and he doesn't mind killing, he doesn't mind sacrificing, he doesn't mind screwing over people. He doesn't go about it in an evil, I'm an evil guy kind of way. It is in a, I'm going to do it, I got the power to do it, so I'll do it.